To another edition of our Thursday night's class. Adam ma'archei lev u'me'adonai ma'aneh lashon. Hashem should give us the right words to say. Siyata d'shmaya. Tonight is the Hilulah of the Ari HaKadosh. Zecher tzadik livracha. Zchuto yagen aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Rabbeinu Ari. In Eretz Yisrael right now, there's thousands of people in Tzfat by the Kever Ari HaKadosh. So we can't be in Eretz Yisrael, but we want to bring the Aris out to us. They should be with us tonight, Bezat Hashem, in the Divrei Torah that we'll talk. Zchut HaKahal HaKadosh. We're holding a few days before what we hope will be a Yom Tov of Tisha b'av. Kara alai moed, it says in the Navi. Kara alai moed. Tisha b'av is called the Yom Tov. Why is Tisha b'av called the Yom Tov? Tisha b'av is a Yom Evil. It's a day of mourning. It's a day of suffering. It's a day of tragedy. Kara alai moed. Moed is the Yom Tov. Chol moed. Tisha b'av, Yom Tov. So of course, the simple pshat is that Bezat Hashem, inshallah, soon we should be zocher. It should be before this coming Monday night. Mashiach Tzidkenu will come. And then the tzomot yafchu l'simcha. The fast will turn around to Yom Tov. That's the pshat. That's a simple understanding. But Bezat Hashem, we'll try tonight to explain how even tonight, before Mashiach came, v'achakelo b'chol yom she'yavo, he can come any second, maybe middle of the class. We'll have to go to Eretz Yisrael. I hope so. I hope you all have your passports with you. Well, the good news is you won't need a passport. Al karfei nesharim esayetchem. There won't be mishmar hagvul anymore. There'll be nobody asking you for an ID. You're a Jew, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to say, come. We're waiting for you. I'll tell you a feeling that I just had this second. Now, since 9/11, the airports look like military bases practically. TSA, and they're all doing good work. Governments around the world are doing whatever they can to keep us safe and to keep commercial flying safe. And by the way, we should say this clearly, we have to have hakarat hatov to them. When you go through a TSA checkpoint, and the guy tells you take off your shoes and this, and take out your computer, and the whole list of, instead of getting upset at him and acting with attitude, he's just doing his job. And why is he doing his job? To help you. So instead, smile to him and say, thank you for keeping the world safe. It's a different attitude, but he's not trying to harass you to bother you. He's trying to help you. That's all he's trying to do. So why are you giving a guy who's trying to help you attitude? What's the point in that? That's done, by the way. And especially Yehudi Shomer Torah Mitzvot, it's a Kiddush Hashem on top of that. But I'll tell you, I don't remember exactly, but a few years ago, not so long ago, I once heard a recording somebody sent me on one of my outlets of Rabbi Pesach Kronschliter. That he said over a story, I don't remember the details, so I'm not going to repeat that story. Something that happened to him in a TSA situation, that they helped him out as a result of knowing who he was. And they didn't know who he was because he's a Jewish speaker. They knew who he was because he was the nice man that always was nice to everybody. So I'll tell you a story that happened to me as a result of that. When I heard that speech from Rabbi Kron that they sent me on the video, so I said to myself, the rabbi's right. I'm in airports all the time, a few times a week normally. And I never thought of this. You have to make an extra effort to thank these people that are keeping America safe. So I said, I learned something. When you learn something, you got to put it into practice, right? I said, I'll put it into practice. Hashem made Savev Kol Hasivot. We don't know why, when, where. The next day, an emergency happened. I had to fly somewhere. I got to the airport. I came to the place where the TSA is. And I had on the thing TSA pre-check, so you don't have to do certain things. It's like easier officially. And I guess I must have forgotten like a bottle of water or something along that in one of my bags. So at that point, they already opened the bag and they had to check, and they tested my hands for chemicals, I think. I don't know what they tested it for, but they were doing their job. Held me up a few minutes, no big deal. at the end, the gentleman that was doing this thing, this search, I looked at him and I said, I want to thank you. So he said, for what? I said, that you're doing your job in such a dedicated way that even though, big deal, a bottle of water, but you don't take any risks. And you make a real active effort to make sure that we're all safe. I said, you deserve a special thank you. And then I turned to the other guys over there and I told them all, each one individually, I want to say thank you from the depths of my heart for keeping America a safer place and keeping commercial flying a safe place. God has a sense of humor. I'm sure you all experience it all the time. I was so busy saying thank you to people that I forgot to take my cell phones. I'm at the gate about to board a plane and there's no cell phone. Today, taking away somebody's cell phone is almost like choking him. And I said, where did I leave it? And the Uber that took me to the airport, I didn't remember where I left it. By the check-in counter, where did I leave the thing? And I'm trying to process in my head when the last time I used my phone was, to figure out when is, where can I look for the phone? Who should I go to? Before I had a chance to even process the information, a gentleman from the TSA comes over to the gate that I'm at. How he knew which gate, they don't keep record of where you're flying to. That's a mystery to me until today. And he hands me my phone. And I said, sir, thank you very much. This is but what's going on over here? He said, I've been walking around all the gates. This was United Airlines in Newark. I think he told me from the first gate from the TSA until gate 70, whatever it is, at the end of one hallway where I was, looking for your face. I said, how do you know my face? He said, I work here for a few years, and maybe a handful of people ever thanked us for what we do. Just the opposite. We get complaints all day, and people attack us and tell us nasty things, and because they don't mean bad, they just get frustrated. He said, so that face I'm not going to forget. He said, when I saw a cell phone and I realized in 1 second that it was you, I said, let me see if I can locate you. So I took my break, whatever, lunch break, snack break, I don't know what breaks they have over there, a little bit earlier, and I went roaming around looking, and I found you, and here's your cell phone. Then I realized the impact that behaving, I'm not saying a chidush here, right? This is the minimal. This is to be a mensch. To be the ABC mensch, to behave like a normal person to another person, what an impact it makes on others. Now we have to understand, but how does that work when it comes to the subject of Churban Beit HaMikdash? Because Baruch Hu had a house, it was Hashem's home, but on top of that, it was Klal Yisrael's home, it was Am Yisrael's home. Chazal count many nisim that happened in the Beit HaMikdash every day. And he destroyed it. Hashem took his home and destroyed it. How do we, today, in 2017, as youngsters, understand that? And what do we see in that? Where's the moed in that? That's a tragedy of great magnitude. So here's what the Sfarim HaKadoshim say. The Pasuk teaches us like this. This Pasuk is in Shmot. And I want to say in advance, many things I'm going to say tonight I got from a wonderful sefer that I bought called Ohel Moshe. Let's see who the rabbi who wrote it was. Moshe Yosef Scheinerman. I think he's a rabbi in Brooklyn. I want a big hakarat tov. I learned many things from the sefer. The Pasuk says in Shmot, Vayu akruvim posei knafayim lemala. In the Bet Mikdash, they had the Kodesh, the Azara, the Kodesh Kodashim. Inside the Kodesh Kodashim, there was the Aron. That was where the Torah was. And on top of that, there were the Kruvim. The Gemara discusses what exactly were these things that are called Kruvim. And I'm skipping a few words, but over there in the Pasuk it says that they were ala kaporet, that means on top of the covering of the Kruvim. Pinehem ish el achiv. They were facing one another. El hakaporet yu pnei hakruvim. So the kapor was the face of the Kruvim. So the Gemara discusses exactly what was this thing with the Kruvim. So the Gemara, when it discusses this, the Gemara Masechet Baba Batra Daf Tzadik Tet Amud Aleph. The Gemara says, Keitzad hen omdim. These Kruvim, these figures or these sculptures that were on top of the Aron, how were they standing? How were they positioned? So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. There was Rabbi Yochanan, a rabbi, Rabbi Elazar, another rabbi. Each one said his piece. Chad Amar, one said, Pneihem ish el achiv. They were facing each other. V'chad Amar, and the other one said, Pneihem labayit. They were facing opposite each other, meaning towards the Mikdash. So the Gemara says, Ulamanda Amar, and according to the one who says, Pneihem ish el achiv, that they were facing each other, how does he explain the pasuk that says Pneihem labayit? How does he explain the idea that sometimes they were lichora? It says clearly that they were facing the Beit Mikdash. Comes the Gemara and says, Lo kashya. That's not a question. Why is that not a question? Kan bizman sheYisrael osim ritzono shel makom. This is at the time that Am Yisrael does what Hashem says. Kan bizman she'ein Yisrael osim ritzono shel makom. This is at the time that Am Yisrael doesn't do what God says. It says over there in the Rashbam. The Rashbam wrote a commentary on Masechet Bava Batra. There's a certain point in Masechet Bava Batra that Rashi, there's no more Pirush Rashi, at least that we can authenticate, and it becomes Pirush Rashbam. The Rashbam expanded more in Masechet Bava Batra than Rashi normally writes, and he writes like this: on the time that Yisrael osim ritzono shel makom, hem ofchim pneihem ze lazeh dugmat chibat zachar unekeva haohavim ze lazeh. They face each other, just like a male and a female that have a relationship that like each other, that they look in each other's eyes. Ze siman sheHaKadosh Baruch Hu ohev et Yisrael. That's a sign that Hashem loves Am Yisrael. Umitchila kach na'asu panim el panim kedei shetishre shechina b'Yisrael. V'Yisrael ya'asu ritzono shel makom. And lechatchila, when they built the structure of the Aron and the Kruvim, they were created in a way that they were facing each other to encourage us as Jews, to show us as Jews that Hashem is Masheh Shechina, He dwells His glory and His holiness and Himself amongst the Jews, and it'll be an encouragement to them that they should do Ritzono Shel Makom. By the way, I think the Rashbam clearly says over here, if we midayek, if we calculate every single word and letter in the Rashbam, that the way to encourage somebody to do the way of God is Pneihem ze lazeh, is to face each other, it's to love Am Yisrael, to have chibat Am Yisrael, and through that to be mekarev Am Yisrael to the right way. Ukshe'ein osim, but by now when there's a situation that Am Yisrael is not doing the right thing, hofchim pneihem labayit al yedei nes. They suddenly, these kruvim, they turn around, they face the other way, but the Rashbam adds on 3 more words, al yedei nes, through a miracle. What does that mean? It's very simple. This was gold. Gold doesn't move on its own. So if it changed, it had to be a special nis that Hashem made that they should turn around. This is what it says in the Rashbam. Now let's learn a piece of Gemara. Another piece of Gemara somewhere else. This is Gemara Masechet Bava Batra. The next piece of Gemara we're going to learn is Masechet Yuma. Daf Nun Daled Amud Bet. The Gemara says, Amar Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish teaches us, B'sha'ah shenichnesu nochrim la'ichal. In the time that the Goyim went into the Eichal, Ra'u kruvim amiurim ze bazeh. They saw that the kruvim not only were facing each other, they were physically connected one to another. Hotzium lashuk. They took them out to the public. V'amru Yisrael alalu shebirchatam bracha u'kilalatam klala ya'asku b'dvarim elu. They made mockery. They said that Am Yisrael, that is supposed to be such a holy nation, that they have curses and blessings and all different things, and Hashem watches over them. They're busy with kruvim. They're making sculptures inside their holiest place. That's what they're doing. They made a joke of it. No, Rishayim, what should we do? Limase, if you think about it, and this is the Ritva, one of the great Rishonim asks, over there in the Gemara Yuman Nun Daled, asks a very simple question. When the Goyim were able to go into the Kodesh Kodashim, that was during the time of the Chuban Habayit, the destruction of the temple. If we're in the time of the destruction of the temple, so what does that mean? That if Hashem had to destroy the Beit Mikdash, so Am Yisrael is not doing Ritzono Shel Makom. If Am Yisrael is not doing the will of God, so they should have seen the Kruvim looking the other way. That's what the Gemara said that we quoted before from Masechet Bava Batra. Not only didn't they see the Kruvim facing the other way, they saw the Kruvim facing each other more than a regular way that the Kruvim would face each other. Mi'urim ze bazeh, connected one to another. How does that make sense? It should be just the opposite. That's the Ritva, one of the Gdolei Rishonim, that's his question. And the Ritva goes through a whole answer over there that probably we should quote, but as time limitation, Chas v'Shalom, we're not avoiding quoting a Ritva, but he goes through a few Pirushim over there, how he explains what it means and what does the Siman mean, if it was a good sign for the Jews or not a good sign for the Jews. I want to say, just because I think from this we'll get a big chizuk together. Sometimes as a Yachid or as a Kahal, we all have to get a chizuk. And Dafka, in these days, we have to get a big chizuk. I saw in this wonderful, wonderful Sefer, Or Moshe, that he brings down an unbelievable pshat. There is a Midrash. The Midrash is an Eicha. The Midrash talks about a pasuk in Tehillim in Perek Ayin Tet. Remember this Perek. This Perek can help you a lot throughout different times in life. Mizmor le'asaf. Mizmor means a praise. A praise to Asaf. Elokim ba'u goyim benachlatecha. God, the goyim came into the Bet Mikdash. Timu et echal kodshech. I mean, they made a big destruction over there. Comes the Midrash and asks a very simple question. Elokim is midat adin, right? Yudke vavke is midat arachamim, mercy. Elokim is midat adin, judgment. Number two, the destruction of the temple definitely was judgment. It was God telling the Jews, this can't go on anymore. If God went to tell the Jews to hold them accountable for their actions, and then on top of that, Elokim, midat adin, he came with midat adin to Am Yisrael. That's a song, that's a praise, that's a tragedy. Comes the Midrash and says, Lo haya kra tzarich le'meimar ela bechi la'asaf. It should have said in Tehillim, David HaMelech should have wrote a kinah, crying, tears for Asaf. Why does it say mizmor la'asaf, a praise for Asaf? What's going on over here? Amar lahem, comes the Midrash and says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Am Yisrael, and David HaMelech told Am Yisrael through Hashem, Mizamer ani, I'm singing praise, Sheshafach HaKadosh Baruch Hu chamato al eitzim v'al ha'avanim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spilled out his anger on the stones of the Bet Mikdash, on the wood of the Bet Mikdash. V'lo shafach chamato al Yisrael, and he didn't spill out his anger, chas v'shalom b'aminan, only on Tzonei Yisrael, on Am Yisrael. Hadau dichtiv, that's what it says in the pasuk. Vayatzet esh b'tzion v'tochal yisodotea. I think it says over there. That Hashem burnt a fire in the Beit Mikdash, and it ate it to the bottom. Why did it eat it to the bottom? Because the Baruch wanted that the Jews shouldn't be harmed, and that the Charon Af, Kaviyachol, the problem, should go on something else instead. So let's analyze for a second. What's David HaMelech telling us over here? That in the Churban Beit Mikdash, Dafka in the toughest situation that there was to Klal Yisrael, Mizmor le'asaf, even in the deepest, darkest times that a person has in his life, there's still an inyan, there's still a concept of a mizmor over there. Why is there a mizmor over there? Because the mizmor is shafachet chamato al eitzim v'al ha'avanim. That yes, you may be going through a rough time. Yes, you may be going through a problem. Yes, you may have a struggle. But there's a mizmor, there's a great, great blessing that God's giving you. That shafach chamato, He's spilling it out al eitzim v'avanim, instead of b'aminan, that it should harm a person or anything like it. That means that since the Beit Mikdash was taken away from us, the shafach hamato ends up being on the personal struggles that a person has. And now we have a whole new way to look at our personal struggles, and everybody has struggles in life. Shafach hamato al eitzim v'al ha'avanim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu berov rachamav, with His great kindness, hatov ki lo chalu rachamecha, amachem ki lo tamu chasadecha, causes you sometimes a discomfort, causes you a situation that you would rather not happen, causes you a delay in a train, causes you a boss that fired you, causes you something else, and you're ready to blow up. I can't, what is this? Shafach hamato al eitzim va'avanim. Remember this pasuk in Tehillim, Mizmor la'asaf. Hashem is telling you, Mizmor, sing, dance, praise. Hashem is saying, I let it out on this. Baruch Hashem, this was your suffering. I saved you from everything else. I'm giving you a chance now to succeed in every other area of your life. This is an opportunity. Seize the opportunity of what seems to be destruction to turn it into construction, to turn it into building. And that's the lesson of Churban HaBayit. Destruction, we have enough. We can sit and talk about the Tzarot of Am Yisrael. We can sit and talk about over 120 kids that died by Minan of overdoses and suicide in the Orthodox community just in the past few months alone. We can sit and talk about negativity and everything else which exists, and we have to do whatever we can to save. And we have to be willing to be Moser Nefesh to save each and every kid in Am Yisrael. Mesirut Nefesh Mamash, to sacrifice our whole life for that sake. But we can't forget that behind all the pain, behind all the horror, behind all the suffering, behind all the Yetzirah, behind all the Ma'akvim, behind all the Satan, behind everything that goes on, Mizmor la'asaf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu singing His praises. David HaMelech is singing His praises. He's saying that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's Shafach hamato al eitzim va'avanim, to save us from who knows what. We have no way to know from what. I heard a chidush. It's a very famous chidush. Hashem should forgive me, I don't remember the source, but if any of you know the source, please tell me right away. I would love to quote it from the source. In Tehillim it says, Hallelujah Hashem kol goyim, shabechu kol ha'umim, ki gavar aleinu chazdo, ve'emet Hashem le'olam hallelujah. Hallelujah Hashem, who's going to praise Hashem? Kol goyim, all the Gentiles of the world. Shabechu kol ha'umim, the nations of the world are going to. When is this going to be? The Pashtut, if you look in the Rishonim, we're talking about Yemot HaMashiach. Yemot HaMashiach, the goyim are going to praise God. The goyim, if anything, are going to be the last to praise God. We're going to praise God. Finally, exile came to an end, and we were zochet to binyan Beit HaMikdash, to Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Hallelujah, Hashem kol goyim. So I heard a chidush. I wish I remembered from whom. But whoever knows should please tell me, and if somebody watches this or listens to this and he knows, please tell me the source, I forgot. Sometimes somebody's planning to do something bad to you. But at the end, he doesn't succeed. His plot fails. So really, something really bad could have happened. But you have no idea that something bad could have happened. And you have no idea that his plot failed. Because you were oblivious to the entire thing. Who does know? The guy who wanted to do it. Because he was the one who was planning it. So comes one of the tzaddikim and says, Hallelujah Hashem kol goyim. When Mashiach will come, Klal Yisrael will save. But they have no idea even what they were saved from. They have no idea how many times a day they could have been hit. They have no idea how many terrorists wanted to come into Israel and do damage. They have no idea that of the 120 million Yemach Sheman V'Shem Zichram people that are Sonei Yisrael that live around the land of Israel, that want to plan and do and blow up and create. How many were saved? They're clueless. The Goyim know what they were planning on doing. And the Goyim know how their plots were failed. They're going to praise God. And say, God, wow, you really looked out for your kids. You really saved them, because we wanted to do so many things to them along the way. And time after time again, we failed. It's unbelievable pshat. That's Mizmor la'asaf. That's the whole Yesod of Tisha B'Av, Mizmor la'asaf. Even in the Galut, even when Shchita begaluta, even when Kaviyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu's glory and the emet and the truth and everything it's one big disaster. With all that, Hallelujah Hashem kol goyim, who knows what else is going on that we're not even aware of? Who knows what else could have happened that we're not even aware of? And with all of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Berov Hachama, piece by piece, He saves Klal Yisrael, and He's mitoch ahava gdola, ahava ein sofit, an unconditional, unlimited love to His kids. Based on this, Rav Shainim, and I saw says over there in the Sefer, he says that would be a kavanah, another pasuk in Tehillim. Listen to Chidush. This rabbi, I owe him a lot. I don't know him. I hope one day to meet him. If he lives in Brooklyn, it's not so hard to meet him. But this Sefer is unreal. He says that in Tehillim, Perik Samech Chet, it says like this. Nora Elohim mimikdashecha El Yisrael hu noten oz v'ta'atzumot la'am baruch Elokim. Everybody knows that pasuk. Nora Elokim. Elokim is midat adin. Nora, fierce. Right? Hashem is gives strength to Am Yisrael, and then it says Baruch Elokim. Blessed is, and again judgment. So there's a lot of questions in this pasuk. Number one, Nora is a big midat adin, and Elokim is also a big midat adin. Number two, Baruch, you're blessing God for the God of judgment. It's a lot easier for us to bless God for the God of love, not for the God of judgment. The whole pasuk needs an explanation. So he says an unbelievable pshat. He doesn't quote it from anywhere, so I guess it's his own. Amazing chidush. Nora Elokim. There was midat adin on Am Yisrael, 1,900 and almost 49 years ago. Mi Mikdashecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took that midat adin and he let it out on the Beit Mikdash, not on us. Yisrael noten ta'atzumot la'am. Hashem gives us strength. Baruch, and we bless Elokim. We bless that God of judgment that didn't take out the judgment on us, that he took out the judgment on the Beit Mikdash. What a beautiful pshat in a pasuk in Tehillim. Shafach hamato al eitzim ve'al avanim. And based on this, he says, unbelievable pshatim in many places in Chazal. I just want to quote one more. The Gemara says in Masechet Sotah, it begins Samachet Amud Aleph and continues. Very famous Gemara that talks about Be'ikvet at the Mashiach, what's going to happen in the times of Mashiach. It's a Gemara that everybody should learn on its own. It's an amazing Gemara. Learn it with the Mefarshim. You'll see amazing things there. The Gemara lists a lot of things that aren't pleasant to hear. Ben Kam Be'aviv, kids will have no respect for their parents. Kala B'chamotah, daughter-in-law will fight with her mother-in-law. Oivei ish anshei beito, the enemies of a person will be his own household, his own friends, his own sister. They'll be his biggest enemies. A lot of things that sound very, almost you want to raise your hands and say, oh, what? And the truth is, Chazal say clearly that there were rabbis that said, they don't want to live in the times of Mashiach because of all this stuff. All the way at the end of that Gemara, Ne'arim pnei zkenim yalbinu, another thing that the Gemara says, there'll be no respect for elders. Zkenim, it means zek kanach l'chma, for people who know Torah. No respect, we'll talk about anybody, anyway, anytime, freely. All the way at the end of the Gemara says an unbelievable thing. Ve'ein lanu lishayen ela al avinu shebashamayim. The pashtut, the simple understanding of the Gemara, and that's what the Mefarshim all learn, that ve'ein lanu lishayen ela al avinu shebashamayim is don't give up when you hear so many problems. Hashem is great, and He can save everything. He can turn it all around. Have emunah, strengthen yourself in your emunah. That's the pshat in the Gemara. Number one. Number two, the Maharal learns another pshat in this Gemara. Many others said we'll mechaven to the same thing, some before, some after the Maharal. Each one maybe with a few different words, but the concept that ve'ein lanu al mili she'en ela al avinu shebashamayim is not an encouragement; it's another sign. Just like these are all the signs of the generations of Mashiach, there'll be a generation that the Jews will say, we got no way out, only God could resolve this for us. It's another pshat in the Gemara. Over here, Rav Shaineman has an unbelievable chidush. He says, you know what Ein Lanu L'She'en Ela Avinu Shebashamayim means? He says, based on what this yesod, this concept, this foundation that we're laying, unbelievable, this is priceless. I saw this last Shabbat by Sudash Lishit. I was reading the Sefer a little bit because I just got it. I saw this pshat. I said the whole Sefer was worth it for a pshat like this. He said there'll be a time in Klal Yisrael that they're going to be very nervous. What's going to be? It's going to be with Chinuch HaYeladim, with the kids. What's going to be with Parnasah? What's going to be? Nobody's going to know. Everybody's going to be a little bit in a daze. And of course, the Chachmei Chelim, each one will come up with his ideas, but the ideas won't always be so productive. They mean well, but it doesn't always produce. He said, so you know what the answer is at that point? Not stam that Hashem is going to save us. That's of course, that's emunah. We don't need a Gemara for that. That's the ABC of emunah pshuta. Ani ma'amim emunah shlema. Hashem saves us at all the times. Hashem takes care of us always. Ein lanu al mi lishaen, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to say, I'm going to take the hit for the team. Just like in Churban HaBayit, shafach hamato al eitzim ve'al avanim, Mizmor la'asaf, Once again, even if Klal Yisrael gets to such a situation, even if this struggle, even if this pain, Hashem says, I'll figure out a way to divert it away from you. I'll figure out a way to protect you. And I'll take the hit for you. Like any normal, healthy, functioning father that would take a bullet for his children. God takes a bullet for his children. Time and time again. That's the ultimate mizmor la'asaf. And probably that's the ultimate idea behind the whole idea of tishb'av and kinot. Tishb'av became a day of events. There's nothing to do. Even people who aren't so close, tishb'av, after all, that much we respect. So we make this event and that event and another event, and they're all beautiful. Each one in his way, Hashem Yisrael. But tishb'av is not an event. Tishb'av is a day where a person can connect with Hashem that the only other time maybe is Yom Kippur. There's no other time they can connect with Hashem on such a level. Chazal HaKadoshim say, Kol rodfea, it's a pasuk, Kol rodfea hisigua beinam tzarim, right? A pasuk in Echa, I think. All those who try to cause harm to Am Yisrael, beinam tzarim, during the times between Shvat Av and Tammuz and Shav, that was a time that they were able to have more control, because the mazal, whatever that means, of Am Yisrael is not so strong. But it's brought down in the Sfarim HaKadoshim. Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh already said it, and many, many others. Kol rodfea, the word rodfea, if you know how it's spelled, can be split into two words, rodef, and then you're left with two more letters, Yud K. Kol rodfea, kol rodef ya. Anybody who chases Hashem, hisigua, can get to him. When? Dafka now, beinam tzarim. And the simple pshat in what Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh and many other tzaddikim said on that is very simple. That if you want to speak now to the governor of New York, I don't know if that's a big yichus, by the way, but in theory, you want to speak to the governor of New York, you knock on his door. Is he going to answer? You want to speak to the mayor of New York, you go, I think you live, what is it called, Gracie something? You go to the Gracies and you knock, and there's nothing doing there. Nobody's answering you, right? If anything, the police is arresting you. What are you doing there? They suspect you're a terrorist, and that's the way it ends up. But what's an opportunity to speak to somebody you want to talk to is hard to reach. When he's out of his house, when he's traveling, when he's this, when he's somewhere or the other, then at that point, I'll tell you something. This is embarrassing to admit to, but there's certain people in my life that I always wanted to meet, nothing to do with Judaism, just because of different things that they accomplished. I was curious to talk to them about it, to see if I can get a direct thing. One of those people that I once wanted to see was Henry Kissinger. He did some good things for Israel and for other things. I wanted to see him. Those of you who are too young to know who Henry Kissinger is, Google it. I don't know, I'm not sure to explain you why. But I had a thing inside for a bunch of years I wanted to see him. And I was sitting one row, and a row behind me, there was an elderly person who was sitting there, and the whole flight I'm saying to myself, it was a 7-hour flight from JFK to Frankfurt. And I'm saying to myself, I was on that flight together with two guys from here, from the shiur, from the community. And I'm saying to the guys and to myself, I know that guy. Who is he? They said, we don't know him. I said, I'm telling you, I know him. I went to say hello to him. He was so polite to me. He said, hello, how are you? What's doing? But that was it. I didn't know who he was, so what should I talk to him about? So I asked him what he was reading. He was reading some book. He told me a little bit about it. Didn't interest me much, and that was the end. I asked the flight attendant, I said, I'm sorry to do this. I know it's not so polite. It's none of my business, but my curiosity is killing me. I know him, this gentleman, and he's so nice. And so, who is he? So he said, we're not allowed to say. It's against the rules. I said, Beshinui, maybe, is there a way to find out? He said, no, I'm not the type of guy to say, who are you? People do that to me all the time on the street. What's your name? I don't know how polite that is. I didn't say anything. The other thing that stood out was there was another gentleman sitting one seat over from him that the entire time was like a servant practically, a butler. You need this, you need that, helping him, holding his book, for everything you need. So I went to that guy. I said, this gentleman is an extremely nice gentleman. Would it bother him if I continue talking to him? He said, listen, you see, he's not a youngster. I don't think he's polite. He's not going to throw you away, but I don't know if that's exactly what he's looking for. When I heard that, Okay, he's right. He has a point. And then I felt stupid. What are you doing over here? Behave yourself. So I went to sleep. Fine. When the plane lands, they make an announcement that nobody should get up, and because we first have to let out 2 passengers, and then after that everybody else can get up. The 2 passengers is this old man that I don't know who he is, that I'm, the whole flight's bugging me, and his shamash, his gabbai. These are the 2 passengers. When he got off the plane, a second later, they said we could all get up. I was the next guy by the door with my 2 friends. So the 3 of us walked right behind them. We see a big sign, the government of Germany welcomes with great honor Henry Kissinger. He went there to speak by something, I don't know what he went for. I said, look what happens. Here's a guy who I always wanted to, I didn't want a selfie with him, that didn't interest me. He did things for Israel, he was influential in different things in Israel's existence practically. So I was curious to hear firsthand if he would be willing to share what, when, where, why. He was sitting right there, but if you don't know, if you don't get it, if you're not aware of who's sitting near you, it doesn't make a difference. You lose an opportunity, it's very rare. I have 2 points from this story, that's why I said it over, even though it's kind of silly to have celebrities that you want to talk to, and even if they did great things, and have, that's not my point. That's the embarrassing part of the story. But my first point is, you could want to talk to somebody, you could be looking for him for years, he could be sitting right next to you, but if you're not aware that he's sitting next to you, it's worthless. If you're not aware that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is close to you, you got nobody to talk to. So maybe we have to go back to the basics. And maybe we have to go back to teaching the basics. Hashem is sitting right near you. He's with you all the time. He's part of you. He's inside. You're a Tzelem Elokim. He loves you unconditionally, always, no matter what. No matter what you're up to, no matter what you did, no matter what you're doing. Hashem is with you every second of the day. And there's no Jew in the world that doesn't have any kudat tovah, as Rav Nachman calls it, a good point in his life that in 1 second in his neshama could flare up to be a tzaddik gomer. Nobody in the world can never write off anybody. But then there's another point. On a regular day, if I wanted to go see Henry Kissinger, probably I wouldn't know how to do it. I probably wouldn't have access to such a thing. When would have been the opportunity? There on the plane. La'avdil elef alfei avdalot. From here we learn a concept. When a powerful person or a politician or on a very shallow level a celebrity or anybody else, when he's in the comfort of his home, to speak to him is almost impossible. But when he's out and about, when he's available, when he's accessible, it's very easy. During the 3 weeks resemble definitely the 9 days from Rosh Chodesh Av, and the most is Tisha B'Av itself. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have a house. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have a house, that means he's walking on the streets. Kol rodfei hisigua. There are a lot of people that are chasing a kirvat Elokim to get close to Hashem. Kol rodef ya. When can you get it? Bein hamitzarim. Dafka this time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachol is on the streets. When Shchinta Begaluta, when he's right near each and every one of us. This is the closest time, the easiest opportunity to grab God and say, I want to be closer to you. So that means Tisha B'Av is not an event day. It's not a day to count the hours. How many hours left to the flight? Countdown. How many hours left to the fast? How many hours left to the... One guy told me I'm flying to Israel the night of Tisha B'Av, because like this I'll save 7 hours of fasting. I said, I don't know if you should or shouldn't fly to Israel on Tisha B'Av. That's up for discussion. It might not be, a bad thing. It could be to go to pray mincha by the kotel on Tisha B'Av. Might be a good thing. I don't know. I'm not a posek. Go to your local posek halacha, ask him. But the reason definitely shouldn't be to save that few hours of fasting. Because just the opposite, kol hamitabel al Yerushalayim zocheh v'roeh b'simchata, somebody who mourns for Yerushalayim HaKodesh has the guarantee that he's going to merit to see b'binyan Beit HaMikdash. So don't be proud of escaping the fast. That's not something to brag about. Be proud that maybe you're going to Eretz Yisrael, it's a good thing. And there are other things that are good. But this exact, saving a few hours of the fast, that already has no place in our way of thinking. I think from here we have a great, great chizuk. Shabbat is the darkest day, we call it almost, right? Even Shulchan Aruch brought down that somebody, based on the Gemara, that somebody has a deen, a judgment with a goy, he shouldn't do it during the 9 days, because that's not the strength of the luck of Klal Yisrael for the Jewish side. So it seems to be very dark days. Some people say all the tragedies and problems happen during the 3 weeks. I don't know if that's true or not true. I don't take surveys and statistics on tragedies, but there are tragedies all year long. Unfortunately, I try to help people every single day to go through them. But there definitely is, throughout the years, there have been many things during Bein HaMetzarim that weren't pleasant for Am Yisrael. But if we take it with the right attitude, where your mind is, that's where you are. We proved that many times over the many, many years of classes. So if you take it with the right attitude and you see that this is an opportunity, this is something that I want to utilize to get closer to Hashem instead of to feel all scared and wait for it, count the seconds for it to be over and whatever. So suddenly you'll gain instead of suffering. Suddenly you'll grow instead of feeling weaker. And dafka that gain is going to be an amazing thing. I'll share with you a story. Somebody called me last year. It was the day after Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. He told me he has a trial about something, and the trial day was scheduled for Bet or Gimel Av, I think. And he heard in speeches and in whatever he learned in shul, that it's not a good time. So he wants to know if I think he should change the trial date. I said, yeah, it's Halacha Mefureshet. Try to see if you could delay it. Calls me back a few hours later, all sad. His lawyers told him that they tried and there's no way to change it. The judge is stubborn, this is the trial date, case closed. I don't even know for what it was, but all I know was a parking ticket. That's what I hope. But one way or the other, he seemed pretty distraught about that. So I told him, I said, listen, there's laws in the country and you have to, what should we do? If that's what the judge said, that was what the judge said. And that bothered him, I think, even more. That probably was a dumb thing to tell him. But out of frustration, from the depth of his heart, he told me, you know what? Now God's going to have to show me that even though it's the 9 days, and even though I shouldn't be going to trial now, and even though the Gemara says that it would be better to delay it, I tried to delay it, didn't work out, it's all in His hands. I said, no, that's a beautiful thing. Amen, Kenyi, that's all. He called me up that night, I think it was Gimel Av last year, I think. Maybe I'm wrong with the date, but one of the first few days of Av. Tell me you won't believe it. I walked into the court. I went in front of the judge, the prosecutor said all this Lashon Hara, and after 2 minutes, the judge says there's no grounds for this case dismissed, and have a good day. He said, so Av is not so bad after all. I told him, idiot. You got it all wrong. Av, you shouldn't go to court. Av, because you realized, Av brought you to realize, Abba, you have a father in Shamayim. And at that point, you realize, luck is not going to help me, and Sgulot are not going to help me. The Gemara clearly says this is the wrong time to go to trial. And at that point, what was it? I said, what were your words to me that day in the conversation? That Hashem's going to have to help. He's going to have to do it. Tough luck. That's it. That's out of my hands. I said, when you came to that realization in Shamayim, they erased it all. They said, you're in good shape. So Av can be a day of darkness. And of course, we mourn for the temple, and we mourn for Kol HaShekhinah, and we don't take it lightly. But Av is also a great day of light. Every day in Rosh Chodesh Av, from Rosh Chodesh Av on. It's a day of Kol Rodfei Hisigua. And that's part of the reason why Av always is right before Elul. Elul is the whole concept of getting close to Hashem, the Achana for Yimei Adin, Yimei Arachamim. So we need Tisha B'Av right before. Because we need to have an opportunity right before Tisha B'Av to get closer to Hashem through that. And if you pay attention, there's an interesting parallel also, and this will prove the concept. There are 21 days, Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, Tisha B'Av, the 3 weeks. The other cycle of 21 days is Rosh Hashanah to Hoshana Rabbah. Follow Tishrei, from the beginning of Tishrei, 21 days again. And the Mefarshim, there are many different things. In the Sefer called Rashot HaMagid, in the name of Rav Shapsi Delevich, there's an entire drasha on this concept that we said a few years ago, so I won't repeat. But you see clearly that Tisha B'Av is a direct preparation and is a direct tool to utilize before Rosh Hashanah Kippur, to come in ready to Rosh Hashanah Kippur. So that's my advice to you. Eineni tzaddik, eineni chacham, I'm not a rabbi, that's not I'm a friend. I love Jews. Let's utilize the few days left, including tishb'av, not to be upset and annoyed and scared and this, but to realize kol rodfei yisigua, that this is a time that we can gain whatever we want. There's a great koach hatfilah. There's a great opportunity to talk to Hashem. Talk to Hashem in your own words. You're my Father. I can't tolerate this. The pain is too great. Help me. Talk to him in your own words. Mean it from your heart. And he's right there. There's no angels that are blocking, no gates, no nothing that's blocking. Everything's wide open. It says in the Sfarim, they ask a tough question. Because I'll say, Kol ha'sharim ninalu chutz misharei dma'ot. All the gates get locked except for the gates of tears. If a person prays from their heart with tears, that gate isn't locked. So the Sfarim say, if the gate is not locked, so what do you need a gate for in the first place? When I was a young, stupid teenager, I once walked into a 7-Eleven, and I asked them, are you guys open 24 hours a day? They said, yeah. I said, 7 days a week? They said, yes. It's 365 days a year? The guy said, yeah. I said, so what do you have a door for? A lock for? You're always open. Lehavdil elef alfei avdalot. Lehavdil elef alfei avdalot, my stupidity as a teenager today. If all the gates of heaven sometimes close, so you need a gate. If Sharei Dma'ot never closes, so what do you need a gate for? What do you need a gate for? So there are many, many, many pshatim. Among the simple pshat is that there are tears that are fake tears. A lot of people sit on the floor at Shabbat and they cry. They're not crying about the Beit Mikdash and now in Kvod HaShechina. They're crying about the fact that they just lost their job. That's not mourning the temple. That's the simple pshat. But I heard a good pshat. Somebody, a friend of mine told me, I don't know where he got it from, but it's a good pshat. He told me, you know why you need a gate for? Because otherwise we would take it for granted. We wouldn't appreciate it. They show you there is a gate. Potentially it could have been closed. But Sharei Dma'ot lo ninalu, it's not closed. It's an unbelievable thing. So I don't know where he got it from, but wherever he got it from is a great pshat. If you, sometimes, God forbid, we should never know, you're driving and a guy in front of you made a short stop and you slammed your brake not to hit him, you're scared and you missed him by like a quarter of an inch. So you'll come home that night and you'll tell your wife, you don't know what a miracle I had on the way home from work. I could have been in an accident, I would have had a mess, with insurance, with this, with that, God forbid what would have happened. By an inch, I missed the car. But what happened tonight that you drove home and nobody made a short stop? You also had a miracle that you got home without anything. And the only reason why Hashem in the first place makes a guy make a short stop in front of you is to remind you that all the other times that it doesn't happen is also a mess. He said that's why there's a shot. That's why there's a gate. Like Baruch Hu shows Klal Yisrael, really, we have a gate. But there's a nes, chai v'kayam, a law in nature, that to shed a tear for the right reasons, not out of depression, out of a connection, out of kilvat elokim, kol ha'sharim ninalu, but sharei dma'ot lo ninalu. Klal Yisrael sheds many tears, chuban Beit HaMikdash now. The tzaddikim, the mekubalim, they do tikkun chatzot twice a day now, not just once a day. And they mourn the temple. But those are the ma'ot that HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sofran ben Goznam. He counts them and he hides them with Beit Nazav in the most cherished places in Shamayim. And exactly those tears is what's going to be the Etzem Binyan Beit HaMikdash. Everybody has hardships. Everybody has struggles. If life was easy, there's no point to life, no? If you went to the gym and instead of lifting weights, you got a robot to do it for you. Why are you paying a gym membership for? Imagine you go to the gym, you bring a robot with you. Soon robots are going to be very popular and cheap in the world. That's what it looks like based on technology. Instead of getting a personal trainer and sweating and this and having muscle aches and having to stretch, you'll go to the gym and you'll say, Shlucho shel Adam kimoto, the Gemara says. A person's messenger is like him. You'll put the robot and he'll bench press 500 pounds. You could even lay him down and he'll do it even better than you. Is that going to help you? It's not going to help you. There's no pain, no gain. That's the idea of struggle in life. No pain, no gain. You have to take every opportunity that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you, and instead of viewing it as a problem, use an opportunity to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to get closer to Hashem. And that'll make Mizmor le'asaf Elokim ba'al goyim v'nachlatech. Even when the goyim came into the Beit HaMikdash, Hashem should give us the strength and the persistence and the perseverance to understand Mizmor, it's a praise to God. And inshallah, for the sake of Am Yisrael, that Baruch Hu should help that before tishb'av this year, Kara Alai Moed, Hashem should already announce publicly, it's a Yom Tov from here on. B'Yad Goel B'Merav Yameinu, Amen v'Amen.